In this video, we'll dig a little deeper into the concept of lean. Now, most of you have already heard of it, read about it, worked with it, but it's always good to recap just a bit, I think. So let's start with my definition of lean, which would be that with lean, you attempt to cut out everything that does not add value to the customer. In other words, all wasteful steps that a customer is not willing to pay for should be eliminated. Now, this sounds pretty simple, I guess, but there are a few things that probably need a little bit more explaining. So, first of all, this customer. It's good for you to know, to understand that the customer is more than just the end customer, the one that pays for your product or service. You've also got internal customers, namely the person sitting next to you, or the person selling your product, or the person marketing your product. All these people are part of your process and are therefore relevant to consider as well. Another thing to understand is when is something valuable for your customer and when is it not. Now, something does not add value, you could say, when a customer is not willing to pay for it. An example would be, for example, a contract signing. A customer would be willing to pay for one person signing the contract. He would not be willing to pay for 3 other managers needing to take a look at it and give an okay on it, or have it moved to some other location or printed. And in that respect, things like unproductive meetings, reports, overhead staff, etc. are in general not considered value adding to an organization and therefore considered waste. Now, waste is the holy grail of lean, you could say. And there are 3 types to consider. The first one would be waste due to variation or unevenness, which is what happens when a process or its result or its duration is really difficult to predict. And this happens when customer demand fluctuates a lot, but also when, for example, expertise levels or knowledge levels are varied among colleagues. Like, for example, when you do a particular task in 10 minutes, but your colleague takes 30. That would be unevenness. And standardizing your work, opening up your supply chain as much as possible would even these things out. So there's also waste of overburdening machines or people. If you watch the clip from I Love Lucy, you will see them at some point that they can't deal with the chocolate coming in anymore, but they start eating them, putting them in their heads, and get stressed out. And this is really what overburdening is. It's usually the result from removing too much waste or having too ambitious goals, and it stresses out people as well as it does machines. And the risks of this are obviously huge, and it's something that happens a lot in organizations these days. So take care that when you focus on short-term gains, that you do not take away something in the long term. So beware of that. Then there's the actual waste in the process. These could also be called the 8 wastes, which is a little Inception-like, but it's quite simple. The wastes are defects, overproduction, waiting, non-used talent, transport, stock, motion, and overprocessing. As an acronym, you can use downtime if that's something that works for you. Now, it's really pretty easy. These are the ones that you want to get rid of when you're improving your process. And I've put a little bit more information on them in the resources, so take your time to go over that. But I can give you one example of overprocessing, and that will be me creating that pretty picture, that circle of these 8 wastes. It's just a visual aid that does not necessarily need it to be in that circle, but could also be bullets. I'm not really good at Illustrator. Plus, there are millions pictures like that on the internet. So me creating that, spending time of that, would be considered over-processing. Now, how do you get rid of these wastes? Which would be the next step, obviously. And basically, you identify your process steps, you identify what is wasteful, you get rid of what is wasteful, and you're left with a less complex and shortened process, which is what you want to have. Now, it's obviously not that simple, but of course, that is what this class is all about. So we'll get through that in the coming videos. Lean is actually beneficial for everyone who wants to use it well for their own company or own life. And it all started out with Toyota, and then other manufacturing companies got wind of it, and they had great results. But the service industry had some great results using Lean as well over the past decades. And for these past years, the Lean startup has been really, really good and beneficial for those small startup companies. So basically, no one could really hurt from listening and delivering optimal quality to your customer. And neither does it hurt to get rid of everything that is wasteful in your company, no matter the size or no matter the market you're in. I've seen this method work in all sorts of organizations, and I really see no limitations to its functionality. You do need to keep in mind, though, that each organization is different, and you need to implement and use this method the way it would fit for you the best. So remember that overburdening part. If you force Lean to be part of your organization, you'll probably stress it out. So take a look at it, use whatever it is that you can use best, and I'm pretty sure that you'll get amazing results from that. So for now, watch these YouTube videos, look at the resources I put up on the waste, and yeah, we'll go from there, and I'll see you in the next video.